A man in his 40s sits on a couch in a quiet house in England. It is 1997. He has a successful practice, a professional life, an ordinary place in the world. And for the last 3 months, he has not been able to answer his own telephone. Not out of fear, not out of depression, because, as he would later describe it, there was no longer a thinking mind present to answer it. He describes a burning sensation moving up the length of his spine, day after day, for weeks. He describes a silence so total that it roared. He describes spending an entire day looking at a single leaf on a houseplant and continuing to discover new shades of green in it, hour after hour, until the light failed. His hair turned white over a few months. He forgot to eat for days at a time. His head would begin nodding on its own, and his spine would arch backward without his consent. Now here is the only question this video is going to ask. If that man walks into a doctor's office in London and describes all of this, what happens to him? And is the thing that happens to him the right thing? The tradition that man had accidentally stepped into has a name for what he experienced. In yogic thought, it is called Kundalini. Described in the old texts as a latent energy coiled at the base of the spine, which, if awakened, rises through the body and produces heat, involuntary movement, altered perception, and states of consciousness that language cannot hold. Whether that description is literally true is not what this video is about. What matters is something simpler and stranger. India has spent perhaps 3,000 years watching this phenomenon. It has a vocabulary for it. It has categories. It has teachers who have seen it before, who know what the stages look like, who can tell you which experiences are ordinary within it and which are dangerous. It has, in other words, a map. The West has no such map. And this is not a criticism of Western medicine. Western medicine is a staggering achievement. It has conquered diseases that killed most of the children ever born. But it was built on a particular assumption, that the body is fundamentally a mechanism, and that consciousness is something the mechanism produces. Within that frame, certain experiences have only one available reading. Involuntary movement is a motor disorder. Loss of the ordinary sense of self is dissociation. Overwhelming sensory vividness is a psychotic feature. A roaring in the ears is tinnitus. Each of those readings might be entirely correct. The question this video wants to leave open is narrower and harder. Are they always correct? Eventually, unable to sleep for months, the man went to his doctor. He edited his account carefully. He left out the strangest parts. He was frightened she could not possibly understand. He was frightened she would have him locked away and sedated. He asked simply for sleeping pills. His doctor listened in silence. And then she told him something he has never forgotten. She said that it was fortunate he had come to her, because she was from North India, and she had some familiarity with what he was describing. She said that any of her colleagues would have started him on antipsychotics and referred him to the psychiatric wing of the hospital. Sit with that for a moment. Two doctors, same training, same country, same consulting rooms. One would have seen an emerging psychotic disorder. The other saw a phenomenon her culture had a word for. The man's entire subsequent life turned on which door he happened to walk through. And this is the thing that will not leave me alone. The experience was identical in both rooms, only the map was different. So, how many people, in how many consulting rooms, in how many countries, with no vocabulary for this, have walked through the other door? Let us be careful here, because this is where it would be easy to say something reckless. Psychosis is real. Mania is real. Neurological disorders are real and devastating, and they respond to treatment. Nobody watching this should stop taking medication because of a video on the internet. Nothing here is a diagnosis, and nothing here is advice. But notice the shape of the risk in both directions. If a genuine psychiatric illness is mistaken for a spiritual opening, the person may be denied treatment that would have saved them. That error is well understood. Medicine guards against it constantly. But there is a second error, and almost nobody guards against it at all. If something that is not an illness is mistaken for one, what happens then? The person is told that the most significant experience of their life was a malfunction, that what they saw was not real, that the part of them which opened should be closed. And they are given something to close it. They may spend the rest of their life believing they were briefly, dangerously mad, rather than briefly, terrifyingly awake. I do not know which of these two errors happens more often. I do not think anyone knows. But only one of them is being counted. There is also a commercial current running through all of this, and it deserves a note of caution. An entire industry has grown up around spiritual awakening, retreats, courses, apps, promising a safe awakening in 28 days for a fee. Some of that guidance is careful and genuinely helpful. Some of it is offered by people with no lineage, no teacher, and no accountability if something goes wrong. If you ever seek support for an experience like this, that distinction, who is actually qualified to guide you and who is simply selling a promise, matters as much as the diagnosis itself. I want to be honest about the limits of what I can say here. I have not experienced what that man experienced. I am not a doctor. I am not a teacher of any tradition. I cannot tell you what Kundalini is, or whether the old texts describe something real or something imagined. Anyone who tells you they know for certain is telling you more than they can possibly know. So I will not end this with an answer. I will end it with the question that started it, and leave it open. What if some of what we currently treat as malfunction is an opening we have no map for? Not all of it, perhaps not most of it, but some of it. And if that were true, even occasionally, even rarely, what would we owe to the people it happened to? The man on the couch survived. He is in his 70s now. He still lives with the aftershocks every day and has done for 30 years. It causes him real physical pain, daily. And yet, he does not call it a curse. He calls it a blessing. He is grateful for every moment of that long, deep, apparent dysfunction. Grateful for the lingering promise it left him, which he carries as a sacred and private truth. He has seen things and walked on far shores that few have trodden and fewer still have ever recorded. Which may be the loneliest sentence I have ever heard. If you know what he is talking about, you already know. And if you don't, then perhaps just let the question sit, unresolved, and see what it does. This is the Outlier Protocol. If this found you at the right time, you know what to do.